Discuss Senior Director of Government Affairs at the National Taxpayers Union in Washington, D.C., Tommy Aiello. Tommy, $39 trillion and counting. We're on the road to $50 trillion and $80 trillion, and God only knows where, because they are addicted to spending. How do you arrest that?
I mean, it's so frustrating to see us reach another very grim milestone last night. And if you look at the data, it's about $114,000 per U.S. citizen. Debt is growing $3 million every single minute. By the time this interview wraps up, we'll be up another $12 million just in our debt. It's a real problem. But we all know it's a problem, and what are we going to do to fix it? There's a lot of solutions on the table, but unfortunately, we're going to need Democrats to come to the table and get serious about the spending problem before it's too late.
$114,000 per person. Now, does that count citizens and non-citizens, or just me and you? I just want to make sure I'm on the right page here. Who gets to pay this? Because at some point, the bill comes due, doesn't it?
It's going to come due, and we've already been feeling the implications of the consequences of it, right? We all know inflation is driven primarily by federal deficits and government debt. Spending is up 50% since COVID. It's no surprise that inflation is up almost the exact same since the Biden-era COVID spending spree. So once we get our fiscal house in order, I'm very confident we'll see inflation continue to decline much more than it already has under President Trump, and we'll be able to keep more of our hard-earned money. We all want to keep more money in our pockets and spend less across the board.
Yeah, and we're seeing prices increase. We were talking about it in the break. The price of oil is in the mid-90s, but the price of gasoline seems to go up daily. And that is impacting people here at home. Gas in many places now is over $4 a gallon. We haven't seen that in a while. But I do remind people, the price of a barrel of oil during the Biden administration reached $139. We're a long way from reaching that. But I suppose it's not out of the realm of possibilities, is it?
You know, the longer this conflict in Iran and the Middle East goes on, I think the more likely it is that we'll see prices increase to what they were under the Biden administration. We cut off the Strait of Hormuz is effectively closed. That's 20% of the world's oil and gas that travels through there. So you have this big supply shock right now impacting the whole world. And I think this is a good reminder that a disruption anywhere leads to price increases everywhere. Now, President Trump, he's not sitting idly by and wants these high gas prices, right? He's taking a lot of action in the short term to help address what Americans are feeling. And I think, unfortunately, there's still going to be some short-term price pain in the weeks and months ahead. But I'm very confident that those prices will decline just as quickly as they increased once this conflict wraps up.
Yeah, a couple of things here. First of all, if we can start getting these tankers to move safely through the Strait of Hormuz, that will ease the pressure. But Saudi Arabia also has the Petro line that runs from the Persian Gulf to the Red Sea. It typically moves about 2.5 million barrels a day. It can move 7 million barrels when maxed out, which they could do right now. That would take about 4.5 million barrels away from the Strait of Hormuz and into the global supply. That would help ease the pain too, wouldn't it? Why wouldn't they do that right now?
I'm sure it would, and I'm sure they're in the process of looking about the logistics of all of that. But there's no denying that what's happening in the Middle East is a cause for concern. Now, I will just say the good thing is American oil and gas has never been stronger and is helping to insulate a lot of those price increases we would have otherwise seen. We know President Trump cut taxes on oil and gas production, opened up more lands and waters for drilling, and took the regulatory shackles off the industry. All of that is leading to record levels of oil and gas production, which will help insulate these prices we're feeling at the pump. Of course, that's no substitute for how Americans are feeling, but it helps.
Yeah, he did one more thing, and I'll get your last word on this. He issued the Defense Production Act for California. California used to provide 40% of America's oil, but the environmental activists there have pretty much stopped oil drilling and so forth in California. But if California is put back online, that would help us tremendously. So would more fracking, so would more refineries. Last word to you.
It would. And I think what we're seeing in California is a picture for what can happen if we have these crazy, insane policies rule the rest of the country. They have gas prices that are 50% higher than the national average. That's because of high taxes, regulation, and an inability to tap into the resources that they have. It's a recipe for disaster across the country.
Certainly is. Tommy Aiello, always good to talk to you, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you.